Hey there, and welcome to my tent. I'm Model T, and I'm sick. I am living in a tent for a little bit, just to hopefully keep Paul well. And if you want to see any of my stuff on my documentation of what's going on during this time, you can go to Tina Shin, Healthy Habits for Life. And that's another YouTube channel that I have for just regular stuff in life, my farming, my chickens, and just being healthy. Anyways, today, if you stick around, I have a very nice guy that I met at one of the car socials, and he is very passionate and loves his vehicles. They are Fords also, classics. Pretty neat story about each one. It's a little windy that day, so I apologize for the wind noise, and I hope you at least enjoyed it. And keep me and Paul in your prayers if you would. Paul, so far so good, is nice and well. So, all right, I love you guys. Hey, and welcome back. I'm Tina, aka Model T. I went to a Cars and Coffee this morning that they have once a month, and I met this really cool guy named Jason Richardson. This is one of his stickers from the company he works for. Very cool. And he is going to share his collection of Fords. Now, you know that me and Paul, we always collect our Model A Fords of various kinds and fix them up and teach how to keep them running well and everything. Well, he's not quite into that old of Fords, but he is into collecting very classic and unique Fords. So I'm going to let you hear about it from him.
Well, thank you for having me on the show, Tina. I appreciate, participating in your channel. My name is Jason Richardson. I am the owner and operator of Venom Motorsport Inc. I am a semi-retired pro driver from sports car racing and Formula car racing. And now our company focuses on doing driver training for people that are looking for better track experiences, whether they're enthusiasts or hobbyists or looking to, work their way up into the pros. So Tina and I met at a local car show that's right behind our house here, and I found out about your channel, and we decided to show the collection of Fords that we've got here. 16, I got my first Mustang. It was all gray. It was a GT. I remember I bought a little Chevy Cavalier, fixed it up, and sold it. Never even drove the thing in order to get my first Mustang. So we're going to start with the Fox bodies today. And the first one is the convertible. I'm a fan of all Fox bodies, but specifically I like the 86 for a few reasons. One, it was the first car I got when I was 16. Two, if you know a little bit something about the Fox bodies, this is the very last year that Ford did the four-eyed Fox, which is your low beam, high beam lights, hence the four eyes. But that's not all. In the 86 model year of the Mustang, you also had the very first year of fuel injection. You also had the very first year of a true dual exhaust, as opposed to an 85 where it was a single pipe and it came out to two out of the muffler. And it's the first year that Ford brought out the 8.8-inch semi-posi track rear end. And that was a game changer, especially for everybody on the street. You could put so much more power down on an 8.8-inch rear end than you could on the 7.5 that came in 85. Both cars actually hold a lot of nostalgia and a lot of value. Once I got the opportunity, when I was mostly done racing, I went out and started kind of collecting Fords because I've always been a Ford nut, even though now I'm racing Porsches. So I'll show you the convertible first. I found this one in Texas, a rural area of Texas. I hunted I'd say 3 months before I finally found this car. It's probably the most, out of the two Foxes, this one's the most modified. It's got a built bottom end. It's got a Cobra upper and lower intake. The heads are mildly ported, but they're still the factory heads, so there's still work to do. It's a bit of a work in progress rather, where we're gonna swap the heads out. But it's got a 5-lug conversion done on it, 4-wheel disc brakes. The suspension has been all done from the front to the back, lowered, and it's just a monster. Gears in the back end are 355. Try to do everything as much as possible through Ford Motorsport or Ford Performance, but not with everything, but as much as possible. So this car actually just came out of the paint booth not too long ago. German's Auto in Sonoma. If you if anybody's in the Northern California area, he is definitely the person to reach out to. It's a shameless plug, but I have to give it to him. I mean, after the man finished the paint, I took it to the very first car show. It took first place just like that, and I went home. So you can't not acknowledge the man that painted the car. So let's show you a little bit about the Fox here. They are becoming a little bit harder to find if you want a good example for one without having to spend an awful lot of money. But this one's a little bit dressed up. It's naturally aspirated. There's a lot more to do on it still, but as I say, we've got the Cobra upper and lower intake. The bottom end is built. It has a Ford B303 cam in it. It's got a full exhaust, 3-inch H-pipe going into Flowmasters. The rear end is a 355 gear, Maximum Motorsport adjustable suspension up top, MSD ignition. It's just an all-around fun car. It's like all Mustangs. It's a real torquey monster. Not a ton of horsepower right now, as I say. It's only just under 300 at the wheel. But once we get these heads off and put a good set of AFRs on there, it'll be a big game changer. And then eventually we'll get around to putting a blower on there. But it's all about time. That I have little. Each one of these cars has some sort of meaning behind them to why I got them, whether it was my choice or some sort of life experience that came with it. Which brings us now to the next one, because this one actually has history with my mother. Funny enough, parents, that's just how it goes. This is also an 86 GT, but it's a T-top, and the T-tops are a lot more rare. When I was 16, all I wanted was an 86 T-top Mustang, but they weren't as hard to find back then, but they were a little bit more expensive, and it just was out of my range. It was a 2-owner car. The original was a lady in Florida who factory ordered the car, and then she sold it to a guy in the military who then I was able to get it after he was done with it. It is an 86 T-top. It was a fully loaded power windows, power brakes, air conditioning T-tops. She ordered the factory tint and everything in it. And it sat most of its life. It's only got 90,000 miles on it right now. It's a cool car. It's not done being restored yet, so it does need to be painted. Anybody who's a Fox body enthusiast will know all this should be black. There should be a black stripe with a GT on here. All that is coming. It just hasn't been done yet. But we have had the opportunity to clean up a few things because it did sit a lot, even though it was a low mileage car. It sat a lot in Florida, and it needed a little bit of attention. So just recently started trying to clean things up, take things apart, repaint things that need to be painted here and there, and just try to refreshen it. It's mostly stock. I did, it had Flowmaster mufflers on it, so we put a set of headers on it because I had a set sitting in the garage. It still has the factory H-pipe. I swapped out the springs and the shocks because they were pretty worn. But other than that, nothing has been done to the car. It still has the factory stereo in it. So it's pretty close to being an all original 86. And it is a T-top, which is a ton of fun. And then moving onward, this is a vehicle that I always wanted and was fortunate enough very, very recently to find one. For a brief period of time, I worked at a Ford store, and I used to see these Lightnings, and I was absolutely in love with them, and I always dreamed about having one. And I remember at the Ford store that I used to work at, early when I was really young, and I was a Formula car driver I think I was running in Skip Barber at the time. I worked at Walnut Creek Ford, and I remember just because of what I did, the managers of the store, if there was ever any time a vehicle needed to be moved, they always asked me to do it, just because they knew they could trust that the vehicle would get from A to B unharmed. And one time they asked me to fill up a brand new SVT Lightning that was sold, and it looked identical to this, and I absolutely fell in love with it, minus some of the things that I changed, like the tinted lights and whatnot. But I finally found this truck, and originally I wanted a blue one. One of the funny things is that all the vehicles I have ended up being red, but I really wanted a blue Lightning, and I found this one in outside of Seattle, and it's a 2003 SVT Lightning, and it's limited number. I'm sure a lot of people out there know about the Lightnings. The second generation was built from 2000 to 2004. They're limited number. They come with SVT certificate of authenticity and everything else. And they're a supercharged 5.4 liter Triton V8 at about 380 horsepower. And they were just a monster truck in their day. And they still are to this day. You can do all kinds of tuning and performance upgrades to them and get all kinds of amazing horsepower. This one's still stock. I probably will mess with it one day. Don't exactly know when it's going to be, but I probably won't go crazy. I'll do like a JLT cold air intake, a full exhaust, and tune it, and that's probably about it. Because I like getting these things out and enjoying them and driving them and having fun with them. I don't like to go overboard with modifications because that starts leading to problems and you end up wrenching on them more than you're enjoying them. Not that wrenching on them is a bad thing, but you don't want to do it all the time because it takes away from taking them out and enjoying them. So very much stock. It's got the SVT blower on there, and looks like actually she needs a little bit of an engine detail. Probably got to clean this one up a little bit. It's been a minute since I've had an opportunity to get underneath it, but this truck I found in 2020, if I'm not mistaken, and it was sitting at a Ford dealer. A guy, original owner, traded it in on a new truck, and they were having a problem selling it because everybody was trying to finance it. And I was able to just come in and acquire it. I was lucky. It was right place, right time, and they were willing to offer a really aggressive price on it. And I decided to pull the trigger and brought it home and had it cleaned up and had the paint cleaned up, and we've still got a few more things to do. It needs new tires and a few other things, but the main thing is it's in the stable now, and we're gonna get working on it as soon as we get an opportunity. And these trucks are a ton of fun. I mean, as far as wheel spinning fun, man, you can't not have fun in the Lightning. It is absolutely a blast. And listening to that supercharger spool up, it's definitely a tire fryer, and it gets a lot of looks, attracts a lot of attention, and I like that. I just like that about the truck. I like being able to bring out something that's older, that's not brand new, and have people just, get the rubber neck turning around watching this thing drive by. It's a ton of fun.
So this sweet hot model, I am sad to say that somehow I lost the footage of when he was speaking about it. So I at least have these little glamour shots. I will tell you, when it's running, it is a sweet sound. It just rumbles and it just moves the soul. I'm not really into newer vehicles, and I honestly cannot remember the year of this, but I was in love with it. So sleek, very, very beautiful vehicle. But more than anything, gosh, just starting the motor and hearing it run and then drive away, oh my gosh, it's a great sound.
So, hey, I hope that you enjoyed, the collection. It's a lot of fun. We enjoy them, and if you enjoyed the story, make sure you hit that subscribe button below, and follow along for more exciting adventures of just guys that have hot rods, Model Ts, and all the adventures that come with it. Hit the subscribe button and watch more. You have to stop filming me now. So it's a convertible. At the time, when I finally found the car, I was actually in Toronto, Canada at the time, and I was born there. My mom was born in New York, but I was born in Canada. So I was up in Toronto at the time, and I found this car. It was in Texas, and I called my dad and I said, "Hey, you want to do a road trip with me, and we'll go to Texas and pick up this convertible?" And he was like, "When do you want to go?" I said, "We'll leave in 3 days." He's like, "All right, let's go." That would probably be, this car holds kind of like a sentimental value because A, it was the first Fox body that I got back into as an adult, but B, it was the whole cross-country experience going from Toronto to Texas and back. It was like a cannonball run in 24 hours, and just all the conversation that came with it. I probably learned more about my dad on that drive there and back getting this car than I've ever known about him before. And why? Who knows? But sometimes, you know, car guys and hot rods and automobiles can just create experiences that are lasting memories you'll take with you for the rest of your life. So for the convertible, that's what it does for me. The conversations I had with my dad, the things that I learned, you know, everything down to all of the music that he loved when he was younger, playing in bands, filling in for a band member for BB King one time when they were playing in Toronto, things that I had no idea about. It was just a killer experience, very memorable, and I loved every minute of it. So that's what comes with you know, with the convertible, and that's pretty cool, and probably why I'll have it for the rest of my life. Really, you'll probably bury me in the car. So I ended up with, you know, a regular, you know, GT that I loved, and you know, obviously I wish I still had it, which actually holds a little bit of story as to how I got this car. So years later, I found out who owned the car that I sold when I was young, and I was able to write a letter to the guy, and he responded and said, yeah, I still got the car, and I'm thinking of getting rid of it because it's just been sitting in storage, and I really wanted to get the car. So I waited about a month because he said he had some stuff he had to fix on it. Long story short, I go, he's like way up in the hills off the grid in outside of Monterey. And I go up, I see the guy, we're chatting, and the car was rough. It kind of broke my heart because I used to take it to good guy shows and whatnot. But the guy kind of Googled me, and he looked up a little bit of history on me, and long story short, he was holding for, you know, for big money on the car. And it was pretty beat up, and you know, rats had been in the car and, you know, messed it up on the inside and everything. I don't even want to go into the details because it, you know, breaks my heart. But he's hitting me hard for $7,000. I said no, it won't happen. And so I ended up walking away from the car. And it was National Red Wine Day. I'm going to admit to you now, a glass of red wine is good for the heart. I was having mine, and I was going through Car Guru, and I found this. All upset that I wasn't able to buy my car back because the guy was trying to rob me. Here I find this killer 86 T-top. It was a 2-owner car, but I found this in Augusta, Georgia, and I flew out, picked it up, and I drove it back on Route 66, and I brought my mother with me. And we did this cross-country trip together. Same thing, talking about all kinds of life, history, things she did when she was a kid, things I did when I was a kid, things you never told your mom about, you know, that you don't mind telling her now that you're grown up. And killer trip. I mean, just unbelievable. Went to Memphis, saw Graceland, you know, went along Cadillac Ranch in Amarillo, Texas, saw all the caddies hanging out of the ground. It was just a phenomenal trip.